Welcome to It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and early 80s. This is Kara Siegel. Welcome into the It's Been How Long podcast studio, Karen Higgins Camoratto. Welcome, Karen.
Hey,
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm excited.
Oh, this is great. This is great. So here we are, 40 years after graduation, and
That's hard to say out loud.
it is, because we do not look that old. I'm sorry, we don't.
Thank you. I'll take it. I'll take it.
So, so what are you up to these days?
Right now, in this moment, I am living in Medford, New Jersey. I work part-time for my brother-in-law and have for unbelievable like 15 or 16 years. And in my downtime, I upcycle furniture, really chalk paint furniture as a hobby. And I have a chocolate lab who keeps me busy. And I have 6 chickens who are 12 weeks old today
Oh, wow.
that I've been growing up and tending to and learning about. So, yeah,
Oh my
um,
gosh, that's wild.
it is wild because, hello, chickens?
Yeah. So is your intention to raise eggs or sell
Yes,
eggs,
we've got,
or
well, so
do you just eat a lot of eggs?
my husband and I have been married 34 years, and we lived in Moorestown, New Jersey for 31 of those years. We lived in a duplex before that, and we moved here to Medford last year at the end of June. He wanted, we're empty nesters, obviously. He wanted more land, and we wanted a smaller house. And we looked for 2 years and couldn't find that really in Moorestown, and looked all over and ended up on this 1.2 acres in Medford. And as we were touring the house, he looked around and said, "Oh, we could put a chicken coop there." And yeah. And so a year later, he built it. And my youngest son got married in May, and we were away for 10 days. And so when we got back, we sort of, hunkered down and watched tons of YouTube videos, and then went to Tractor Supply and got 6-week-old baby chicks.
Well, that's
It's,
great.
it's way more work than I thought it was going to be. But they don't start laying eggs until they're about 20 weeks old.
Oh, okay.
And so we're looking at mid-October for the egg laying to begin.
Oh,
And
wow.
just, a hobby.
Yeah. Well, that's really
So
cool. That is, I gotta say, out of everybody I've spoken to, that is a very interesting, semi-retirement project.
it's like the house we bought has a koi pond, and we have 33 koi
Oh,
slash goldfish, but that too, who has a koi pond? So I had to read about that and learn about that. And yeah, it's been a lot. So it's like Wild Kingdom over here, Jurassic Park.
so safe to say you did not have a koi pond in high school.
No, not in Cherry Hill. No.
So what did you do since you weren't raising koi or chickens in high school? What sort of activities did you partake in?
Well, I mean, I danced for Barbara Enders in Orchesis for 4 years, and did musical theater with Bob Nation and Tom Weaver. And that's where I spent most of my time. I grew up in a theater family. Both my parents met doing community theater, and did theater as I was growing up. I grew up in the house where people were rehearsing and singing, and there were cast parties and people on the couch when we woke up in the morning, and that kind of Ozzy Osbourne existence. My husband will tell you he grew up in an Ozzy and Harriet Italian Catholic home,
Oh,
and
okay.
I grew up in an Ozzy Osbourne alternative lifestyle home, which is somewhat true, not totally true, but yeah. And so, yeah, that was a natural inclination for me. I danced for a very long time. And when I moved to Cherry Hill the summer before 8th grade, we lived in North Jersey. My dad worked in Manhattan, and then he got a job in Philadelphia. And so we had to move. And that was rough enough to move the summer before 8th grade.
Yeah.
And so luckily, initially I went to Beck Junior High because we lived in Old Orchard. I signed up for some drama or theater or something, and met Valerie DePenna. And, we sort of had the same interests in all of that, and followed that right into high school. And it was awesome.
Yeah. Are you still doing community theater now?
I don't do any theater anymore. I love to go see theater.
Yeah.
Um, but I haven't done theater in years. I taught aerobics for 10 years, so we all find our stage.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, after I left East, I got a partial scholarship to what was then called PCPA, what is now, I think, University of the Arts in Philadelphia,
Oh, okay.
and went there for a semester and danced. And I went from being like one of the dancers to one of many of the dancers. And that, coupled with a lot of other things, made me realize that perhaps I did not want to be a star on Broadway and that rigorous lifestyle and all of that. And so I left. I stopped dancing and I left. I dropped out of college, essentially, and started waiting tables. Somewhere in between that, I like worked at a hoagie store and was a receptionist at a bindery, and trying to figure it all out. My parents were pretty open to me leaving PCPA, but they said then you have to get a job. Like, if you're not going to go to college, you have to get a job. And ultimately, I ended up waiting tables, which was a phenomenal segue for me because I made cash money, which was great. And I became a corporate trainer. I worked at a Mexican restaurant on Route 38 called Chi-Chi's.
Okay.
And they were a national chain. And so they had a whole formal training department. So I became a corporate trainer for them. I waited tables. I ended up going back to college and graduated when I was 26 with my degree in marketing.
Oh, wow.
But in between, made a lot of good friends and learned a skill that translated into having 3 kids.
That's great.
Very well.
And so
Yeah.
you stayed then there in the
Yes,
Pennsylvania,
I'm a Jersey girl.
Jersey. Okay, just stayed in Jersey. Okay.
Yeah. We lived in Cherry Hill, and then when I got married, we moved to Runnymede for a little bit, and then we bought our house in Moorestown,
Okay.
and now I'm in Medford. So yeah, here I am.
That's great. And so you're saying you're working part-time for your brother-in-law. What do you do?
I managed his office. After I graduated college, I got a job with US Healthcare, and I was in sales and marketing for them. And I did that for 6 years. And in that time, had 2 of my 3 kids. Then left there and went to work for a broker, local broker, as an insurance broker, and then had my 3rd kid, 3 kids in 4.5 years. So it was a lot, too much for me to work full time.
Sure.
And so I retired kicking and screaming because I put myself through college.
Wow.
And then I was working, and now I'm not working. And that's a tough
No, you were
transition.
working. You had 3 kids under 4.5 years.
Well,
That's a lot of work.
Totally different. It's like being shot out of a cannon, like to be home with 3 kids. And I stayed home for years until my youngest was 10.
Mhm.
And then my brother-in-law bought the business he had worked in for many, many years and moved it to Cherry Hill and asked me if I wanted to manage his office for him part-time. So it was great. And I'm still there like 16 years later.
Well, that's
So it's been
great.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So how did you meet your husband?
We met waiting tables. He grew up in Marlton. And he was working full-time at Glassboro State College, getting his master's degree, and waiting tables to make extra money.
Oh, wow.
And at this point, I was working at a restaurant called Casa Lupita.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first went to Casa Lupita, they asked me to stay on the day shift to help the day staff get off their feet because I was a corporate trainer for Chi-Chi's. And I said, I can do that till my semester starts, and then I'm got to go to school. And they kept me on there for 4 weeks. So I never worked the night shift. And when I finally went on the night shift, he came in a suit and a trench coat to check his schedule. And I said to my girlfriend, "Who's that?" And she said, "That's Tony. He works here." I said, "He works here?" And she said, "Yes." So fast forward,
Here you
4
are.
months later, we started dating, and yeah, 4 years later, we got married.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's how I met him.
That's a great story.
Yeah,
So did you have a high school sweetheart?
I did. I dated a guy, well, when I turned 16, I dated actually Valerie DePenna's cousin from South Philly for a little while. And then I was, in my junior year and his senior year, went out with a guy named Carrie Tucker.
Okay.
Again, like 4 months, 5 months, I don't remember how long. And then I met my boyfriend of 5 years after that, at a club, at a
Okay.
teen disco or some disco. And we went out for 5 years. He went to West.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. And we went out for 5 years until I met my now husband.
Oh,
So dodged a bullet there.
okay.
Enough said.
A story for another day. Okay.
Enough said.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So, in all this time, have you had a chance to do any traveling, either around the States or internationally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, the first time I was ever on a plane, and out of the United States was with my now husband, Tony. And we saved for a year and we went to St. Martin.
Yeah.
And that was the first time. I was 22 years old, maybe 23 when we finally went. And I, yeah, flew on a plane for the first time. And then, after that, we got married. We started having babies. We didn't really do much. And then later on, my mom and my stepdad bought and built a oceanfront condo in a place called Puerto Aventuras, Mexico.
Okay.
And we thought they were crazy. Like, they didn't speak Spanish. Mexico, are you crazy? They loved it. It was beautiful. We went to visit, and my brother-in-law said to Tony and me, what do you think? We could do this. We could share a condo. So we did. We went in halvesies and bought a marina front, not oceanfront, condo in Puerto Aventuras, Mexico. And we rented it out most of the time and kept 2 or 3 weeks for each family. And so we have been back and forth to Mexico many times. The kids loved it there. It was fun. But then, renting out a property gets tiresome.
Yeah.
So we sold it. But then my daughter went to studied abroad in Prague.
Oh, nice.
In her junior year of college. And that was the first time I was in Europe. We flew over there to see her and went to Paris. And then I had a friend who lived in Germany for a while. I went to visit her. And then last year, for my 60th birthday, my husband and I spent 10 days in Italy.
Oh, very nice.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So, yeah, I've been a couple places.
That's great.
Sadly, in terms of the United States, like Vermont, Florida, my kids went to school in Florida, 2 of them. One son now, my oldest son, lives in Montana, and we're leaving there in a week and a half to go visit him and his wife.
Oh, cool.
I've never been to Montana, so that'll be fun. And my other son, my youngest son, who was in Miami for 8 years, went to school there, met his now wife, and she graduated medical school, matched with UCLA. So they live in Santa Monica. And so we're going to go see them as well. But like, I've never been to the Grand Canyon. I've never, been to a lot of places in the country. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's great.
Doing that.
So was there a teacher or a class at East that influenced you beyond your high school days?
So, I mean, definitely, I was not a great student. I was going to be, star on Broadway, dancing. And so who needed history or algebra or biology? So
I did, but yeah.
A lot of people did.
Yeah.
And I did okay, having not paid very much attention to those things. But so I don't have great solid memories of a lot of the core teachers that I had.
Sure.
Freshman year, I had an English teacher. His name was Keith Kovalevich.
Yeah.
And he actually, Joanne Campbell and I had him, and Valerie was in that class too. And he was sort of like a hippie. He quoted Dylan all the time, and he
was an underwear model.
He was an underwear model. I know.
Yeah, I thought that was 10th grade because I had his class as well.
Maybe. Okay, so 10th grade then.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's all a blur to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
But
I don't know
yes.
if you know, I'm 61 years old.
No, because I'm
Yeah,
not.
go figure.
It's okay.
Um,
Yeah,
he
he
used
was
to
something.
say, a thoroughbred runs, Miss Higgins, a thoroughbred runs the full stretch. And that has stayed with me my whole life. And my kids, actually, I said that to them all the time. Extra credit? Yes, a thoroughbred runs the full stretch. Do it. And so I have vivid memories of being in that class. Other than that, Barbara Enders, Barbara Hall, Bob Nation,
Yeah,
just they were the core people in my life in terms of academia,
yeah.
or not academia, in terms of theater.
Very, very important formative years
Yeah.
there.
I mean, honestly, I spent 4 years in that theater department, and we never went home on any bus except the 6:15 or the 6:30 late bus.
Oh,
Like,
late
I
bus, yeah.
never went home on the regular bus. I couldn't tell you what bus I was on.
Yeah.
And would get home, have something to eat, try and do some homework, and then fall asleep and, do it the next day. So I loved being in that theater department, and there's so many fond and wonderful memories having done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just loved it. And the dance gym too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We actually got an opportunity. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but and I'm terrible with timelines, so it could be 20 years ago, maybe. We did a theater reunion.
Oh, cool.
Theater across the years at East, and I want to say Tammy Funkhauser put it all together, or coordinated it, and they brought back performers from across the years.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to perform and do something you had done on that stage, either as a group or individually. And so I had been in Fiddler on the Roof, and I played the fiddler.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got to do that again with a whole bunch of people, and that was just a phenomenal experience. What a gift to be able to go back,
Yeah.
At 35 years old, and see those people and be back on that stage again. It was really wonderful.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
Yeah.
so cool. So you have friends from East that you're still in touch with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, Facebook's been fantastic in that way. But before Facebook, Valerie, for sure. I'm having dinner with her tonight.
Oh, send regards
I will, for
from all
sure.
of us.
Yes. So Valerie, Andrea Garfield,
Yeah.
Susan Cohen, Connie Rocco. I play poker,
Oh,
Texas
okay.
Hold'em, with
Yeah.
Valerie, Susan, and Connie. They play more often. They play maybe once a month, maybe a little more, at Val's house.
Yeah.
But I go once every few months, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Are
I
cigars and whiskey involved?
No, there's wine or sangria and some snacks, and it's just $20 to get in the game, but it's fun. It's a good time.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah. And
You actually
yeah,
you put Robin in touch with Connie, right?
I
Or
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she had said, "I've lost Connie Rocco," and said, "That's great. That's fantastic."
Yeah, right away I private messaged her and said, I can help you with that for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
And then I said earlier, I paint furniture. I upcycle furniture as a hobby. And Carol Becker
Yeah,
has been a nice customer, and Carolyn Corby
yeah.
also. Carol Becker and I and Lisa Weinstein went to go see Reggie Wu play at the Trocadero. And again, it could be 5 years ago, it could be 8 years ago, I don't remember. To see Heaven's Edge play, because
Yeah.
I knew Reggie a little bit in high school, but not really.
Mhm.
And he taught my kids guitar
Oh, okay.
when they were in that phase. And what a great guy.
Yeah.
And so to have the opportunity to go and see him live was terrific. And he's just super guy.
Yeah.
So I got to do that with them. And then there have been, over the years, a couple of people like, let's get together at PJ Whalahan's, and done that. But for the most part, Valerie, Andrea.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. So do you have a particular standout memory from high school? Could be a high, a low, experience with a friend that just you know,
Ugh,
and it might be it might be, from the drama. I'm just,
from the theater department.
well, I mean, it could be anything. I just don't know if there was one thing. I mean, clearly your recollection of Kavalevich is a good memory with
Yeah.
his quote, but I don't know if there was some other experience that,
I just have many, many fond memories of performing,
yeah,
and the camaraderie that comes from that, and the sense of belonging that, high school is fraught with anxiety and
um,
comparison and cliques and the cools and the nerds and the jocks and the freaks, and you're just looking for some place to be
yeah,
where you can feel comfortable.
yeah,
um, and so the theater department was definitely that for me. I didn't even know anything about sports. My parents did theater,
yeah,
and I didn't grow up doing sports, and I'm sorry that I didn't ever get to go to a football game or a soccer game or any of that. It just never occurred to me.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Anybody you lost touch with that I know Facebook has brought a lot of us back together, but
Yeah. Not no no one comes to mind.
okay.
No, not really. I'd have to look through the yearbook,
Yeah,
uh, to see. I mean, we went to school with so many people,
I know.
and I wanna say 900 or something
Yeah,
like that.
somewhere everybody's quoted from 800 to 1,000. So yeah,
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 and I felt like I knew. I'm really good with faces. The older I get, the names aren't
yeah,
as don't come as quickly, but,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like I knew a lot of people,
Hmm.
not well,
Right.
because you can't know that many people, but I tried to be nice to everybody and, make friends and,
Yeah,
uh, yeah. But no, there's no one that I think, "Oh, what happened to her? I wish we
yeah,
still spoke," or no,
yeah.
not really.
Okay. Um, so is there something that you wish classmates knew about you back then or now that you want to share?
Uh, well, just like I said, I mean, you think that person's got it all going on,
Yeah,
you know? Like they have it all together. And then what you realize later on in life is that everybody was doing whatever it took
yeah,
to, to find their way, to figure
yeah,
out who they were,
yeah,
what they were supposed to be doing. Um, and so, yeah, I would say I was probably the same way. Like, even though I had the theater department and we performed and I danced and all that, you're walking around those hallways thinking, oh, she's prettier than I am, or, you know, I wish I could be as cool as they were, or all of
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we all had those insecurities, but
Yeah.
none of us knew that everybody had the same insecurities. We just,
Yeah.
like you said,
And
everybody thought that you thought they had it. They had everybody else had it all together, but not me. Yeah,
but not me. Right.
yeah,
I just moved here. I don't know anybody. I don't have any older siblings to introduce me to anybody. Yeah, all of that.
yeah.
Um, and also, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. As
No,
40 years later, I've heard stories about people who stayed in the theater department because they could take the late bus home, because when they got home it wasn't a great scene,
yeah.
or someone said to me once, you were so nice to me, and it meant so much to me because when I went home my dad beat me.
Oh God,
And so, you're such a stupid teenager not realizing
yeah,
that everybody's going through something. And
right.
yeah.
Well, we really
Anyway.
need. I've had this discussion with some other folks off camera, but I'll have it with you on. It's like people are saying, "Well, Carrie, you're doing this. It's really only for your classmates." I go, "Yeah, that's the point." But these sort of uh, realizations by us at 60 to be
Yeah.
able to say, I want to go back and tell my 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old self that, that kid in the hall that looks like they got it all together, they are just as
Yeah.
insecure, and they're just like you. Everybody has them, but nobody recognizes it. And we all know it now,
Yes.
but try telling that to your teen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
the other people who should be listening to this is them, to realize
Yes.
that, hey, we have a little bit of wisdom, and but They won't.
Yeah, I've been down that road, yeah, but you have to find it out for yourself,
You do.
for
You do.
sure,
You do.
for sure.
So when you got back into the building for that reunion of the arts department there, how did it feel?
It felt great. It felt like being home
Oh,
almost, to go back into that theater. Yeah, it was good. I have very good fond memories of high school. Even though you're insecure and worried about what everybody thinks about you and all of that. Does he like me? Doesn't he like me? Um, I really enjoyed high school because of all the performing that I did and the friendships that I had. So it felt good. I also went back into the building later because my sister Chris, who's a year and a half younger than I am,
hmm.
lives in Cherry Hill, and her two kids went to East.
Oh, okay.
And so my nephew Jake played varsity basketball for John Valori. So I went and watched him play basketball as
Okay,
well.
so you got to a game. It was just, a few years later.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened. Took me a while.
But John Valori was still there. That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Not for long. I think he left mid, like when Jake was a sophomore, maybe. But yeah, he was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're back in 1980 and you're looking 40 years down the road. Is this where you saw yourself?
No. Oh no. No, I was gonna be a performer in the theater and not necessarily famous, but at least working. Famous would have been nice.
Yeah.
But no, I remember because I grew up again in a theater family, weird circumstances, alternative lifestyles represented, up late, cast parties, all of that stuff. Um, and I always thought, God, I'm so glad we're not average. Like, I would hate to be just average, but
Yeah.
I am. That is exactly what I am. I was a soccer mom. I drove a minivan. I lived in suburbia. I worked on the PTA, the home and school, whatever, cookie committee, and all of that stuff. And it couldn't be better. Like I have three great kids who are not kids anymore. I have two fantastic daughters-in-law. My kids are all doing really, really well, and life is good.
And you have chickens.
And I have chickens. Yeah. That's funny.
So, best piece of advice you would have given your 18-year-old self, or maybe you gave to your 18-year-old kids?
I mean, always to be true to yourself, right? Be authentic. Don't try and be somebody you're not. Just be you. And that's hard for some people. You need a certain level of confidence to do that, a certain level of not caring what other people think, which in your teens is almost impossible.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, just try and be authentic because that's how you'll attract authentic people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good advice.
Yeah.
All right, we're calling this the Fast and Furious finish. Did you have a favorite TV show or a favorite movie or a favorite book from back in high school days?
So books are out. I can read, but I don't like to read. It's not my go-to.
Okay.
As far as TV shows, I mean, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I loved watching that. We used to go to Val's house and pop popcorn and watch that. And Happy Days, All in the Family, all of those fun shows that would never be able to be on TV now. Never.
True.
And movies, Thank God It's Friday,
Mhm.
and Rocky. I think Val and I saw Rocky like 12 times. So yeah, I'm a disco girl from the late 70s and 80s. So
yeah. Did you have a favorite musical group or genre of music? Or
oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay. Sorry.
Bobo, come here. Bo. Here. I just gave him a treat.
Okay.
Disco was, disco.
Okay.
So Donna Summer,
yeah.
Whitney Houston, the Tramps.
Yeah.
All of those. If it had a beat and you could dance to it, I was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you have a favorite place to eat or hang out back in high school?
Um, Valerie and Andrea and I used to leave school through the theater wing
Mm-hmm.
because nobody was monitoring that door. And I was lucky enough to be able to drive to school in our senior year. Um, we used to leave and go to lunch at McDonald's,
Yeah.
burger, fries, and a Coke for under $1,
Yeah.
and then smoke cigarettes on the way back to school. So I would say McDonald's definitely in high school. Big John's, right?
Yeah.
Used to get a cheesesteak there.
Yeah.
Um,
Not there anymore.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's not there anymore. So yeah, that's my favorite food memory for sure.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, did you have a job in high school?
I did. I worked I babysat in the
Mm,
early years.
mm-hmm.
And then I think at 16, I got a job at a place in the marketplace on Route 70. It was called Bob's Jean Market.
Okay.
And I got a job working there, selling jeans to people. And then I worked at a place in the Cherry Hill Mall called Merry Go Round. That
I
was
remember that.
definitely like disco clothes and tight pants and tube tops and glitter and and that stuff. But I didn't have a lot of time. I
Yeah.
was rehearsing all the time and dancing all of the time, and so yeah, babysitting mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. Well, actually, I did this to make it a little easier. So
Yeah.
let's see.
There it
So
is.
there it is.
Not bad.
So you liked your photo, and what
Yeah.
about your quote there?
To appear on Broadway with VDP. Well, that didn't happen. I've been to Broadway with VDP, with
Well, there you
Valerie
go.
McKenna. We've seen shows together, and she's been on Broadway
Oh, wow. Okay.
briefly, but I have never appeared on Broadway with her.
Okay.
There's still time.
There's still time. Absolutely.
No.
Could be a revival. You never know.
No, I don't think so.
So this Western theme, again, it's my question to everybody until I get an answer. You don't know where it came from, right?
No. No idea. No idea.
All right. So last thing, anything you want to tell anybody out there who might be listening in our listening audience today?
I'm so excited to see who I see on Facebook. I know people have problems with social media or hate social media, and I think for our age group, we were the fastest growing segment on Facebook when it first came out, because it afforded us the ability to see people that we walked off that field at Cherry Hill West or wherever we graduated.
Yeah.
And
never saw again.
Never saw anybody again. I mean, I saw some people, but so it was so fabulous to get onto Facebook and start to see people and catch up with people. And I still love it. I love to see vacation pictures and what you're doing, and more so, the playing field is level now, right? We've lived a life.
Yeah.
There are no more clicks.
Yeah.
Or, you're not a jock or a freak or a
Right.
theater or nerd or whatever. You're just who you are.
Exactly.
And I told my kids, the friendships that you made in high school, the people that you knew, they knew you before life could get to you.
Yeah.
And they're the sweetest friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, and it's hard sometimes to be an adult in those friendships because you've known each other for so long, from when you were young and, a teenager. Yeah. But, they're just the best friendships, I think, because you were who you were before the world got to you. Yeah. In a good way or a bad way.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Karen, it's been great catching up and
me too.
Hearing your stories. This was a lot of fun.
I'm really looking forward to your interview.
And that'll be up in a few weeks.
Okay.
I think it's a few weeks. I've already done it with Robin. I do have to edit. But it'll be
kind of weird editing yourself though.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of hosting the podcast.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you. And
thank you.
Yeah. And I hope we're still in touch. And
if not, I'll see you on Facebook for sure.
for
If you're
sure.
in town, Girls Gotta Eat, I love lunch,
Okay,
happy
that's good.
hour,
If you find
reach
yourself down
out.
in Chapel Hill, I'm
Yeah,
here.
okay,
Yeah,
all right, and,
cool.
hello to everybody else.
Yeah, excellent. All right, you take
Thanks,
care.
Tara.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me on It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and the early 80s. A shout out to my cousin Brad Corbett, whose podcast We Weren't Friends in High School inspired me to do this podcast and whose advice and encouragement have been so helpful. Thanks also to my husband, Randy Cockdale, who read all the fine print on the podcast hosting website so I wouldn't have to. And thanks to Jeff Lyons, content consultant and guinea pig, and to Deborah Smead, also content consultant. And thank you to all our classmates who are listening in. See you next week.